Good morning, Matthew. How are you this morning?
Good.
Good.
Yeah. Hanging in there. What about you?
Yeah, about the same. Hanging in there, getting used to living my life on Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Been thinking of having a drinking sesh with friends, even on Zoom.
So,
It's our lives now.
David, you say you can't hear us? Is that right?
Looks like he can't hear you either.
Yeah. But you can hear me fine, yeah, Matthew?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have a fancy headset like you. I didn't have time to go out and get one, but everything's been working all right so far.
Yeah, your audio quality sounds pretty good.
Okay.
Let's see. I'll try to give David some guidance here.
Okay. There's a Natalia who's muted.
Yeah, Natalia's here, and she says she could hear me okay.
Okay.
Let's see who have we got here. We have Teacher 8 and Online Teacher 8. And then Alicia's just joined us. Good morning, Alicia.
I've had some things where students joined twice because they tried to join on their phone. That might be what's happening.
Yeah, I've had that too with a couple of students. So we'll give the others about three or four more minutes to get connected here. And by the way, this session I'm recording in two ways. I'm recording both the the Zoom itself, and I'm also doing a general desktop recording. So
How do you do that?
I'm using a program in Google Chrome called Loom.
Oh, is it just a Google extension?
It's just a Google extension, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be a way. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. That'll be a way for those teachers who want to see kind of what I'm manipulating on my computer as I run the session.
Hi, Ksusha.
Hello. Oh, hello.
Hi, Svetlana.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you here.
Yeah, nice to see everyone. Welcome. So yeah,
Okay.
we'll take another three minutes or so to let everyone kind of get settled.
So, Ksusha, how's it going so far?
I'm here. Okay.
Whoa. That went a bit funny.
Oh, I hear you now, David.
I can hear you too, John.
Super.
Hi, John. I'm sorry. I can't have my mic at the moment. Do I have to say something?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you can mute your microphone.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me okay, Marina?
Yeah, sure.
Super. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. So for those who are just coming in, I'll repeat what I just said. I'm recording this session in two different ways. I'm using the Zoom recording function, and I'm also using a desktop recorder, so that there will be two videos to watch. One just the Zoom session, and one to see kind of what buttons I'm pressing, what I'm doing to kind of manipulate and run the whole session. What we're going to do this morning is I'm going to spend about 20-25 minutes going over some useful PowerPoint functions and some ways that you can use PowerPoint to teach vocabulary. And then we'll have some time for any questions and answers that you might have. All right. So let's dive in. I will share my screen here, and let's take a look at PowerPoint. So first, I'm gonna demonstrate a slide that I think might be a useful way to teach vocabulary, and then I'll walk you through how you can build a slide like this. Right, so let's say I want to teach my students the parts of a house. If I want to elicit that, I can use the annotation tool and draw the student's attention to certain parts of the house. So what's that part that I just circled?
That's a door.
Yeah. And then I can click and have that word. Then I'll elicit another one. What's that one there?
Chimney.
There you go. All right, so there's our chimney. And last but not least, here is our
Window.
There you go. Good. All right. So a short example, but a pretty basic, straightforward way that you could use a picture and Zoom's annotation tool to elicit some vocabulary. One useful thing that Zoom has is the ability to record audio within a PowerPoint presentation. So I'll share my sound here.
And that's through Zoom, not PowerPoint.
This is through PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
These little speaker icons, this is through PowerPoint.
Okay.
And if you mouse over them,
Door.
then you'll hear my very somber pronunciation of door.
Chimney.
Mm-hmm. Were you able to hear that?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
But
Cool.
can we click? Can we click, or can you click and we just listen?
So here you could click if I shared remote access and gave you control of the mouse.
Okay.
But here, whoever has the PowerPoint file will be able to click. But my thinking is, if you use a PowerPoint presentation to teach vocabulary, then when you're finished, you could then save the file and then send it to students.
Yeah.
So that after the lesson, students would have this file, and they could also have these audio recordings as a resource to hear the correct pronunciation.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
And in terms of how to set up a slide like this.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a blank slide, and first we'll start with my picture. So I'll go to Insert, and then Picture. And this brings up a file explorer, and I can choose the picture I want. And here I just have an image file that I downloaded from the internet. So I do that, and there I have my nice house. To get the words on the screen, I can again go to Insert and then Text box. And I can adjust my font here and write my words. You'll notice that in the previous slide, I had them appear one at a time. And I'll show you how I did that. In order to do that, each word needs to be in a separate text box. So I'll have one text box for window, then I'll insert another text box for door, and then a third text box for chimney. All right. By default, the words will just be on the screen. But if I want to have it so that the words appear one after the other, what I need to do then is go to the Animations tab.
Mm-hmm.
In Animations, you can decide which things appear in which order. So I'll highlight the text box window, and right now the animation setting is set to none. But if I want that to appear, I can just choose that first option, and then you'll see this 1 appear beside window. That red 1 lets you know that that is first in the animation queue. So then right now how this slide is set up, I'll just do from the current slide. Door and chimney will be there, and then when I click, window will appear. All right, so if I want to add door and chimney, then I go again to Animations, then Appear, and you see now we have a number 2. And then here, chimney, again, highlight the text box, click Appear, and we have 1, 2, 3. So now the slide should be just a picture of a house, and then when I click, each of these words will appear. So window, door, chimney. And those are just done. I'm just doing that through a click of the mouse. To insert audio, again, we go to the Insert tab there. And to the very right, there's an option to insert audio. There's 2 options. You can either insert an audio file that you have on your PC, or you can choose the second option, record audio. So I'll choose that one. And here you can give a title to the sound. So I'll just call it window. Then you hit the red record button. And then I'll say the word, window. I hit the red stop button, and you can listen to it, window. And if you're satisfied with that, hit the OK button, and then you have the audio that's actually part of the PowerPoint presentation. That's, I don't think that anything more complicated than that really needs to be done. And that's how you can set up a slide that I showed you there. One resource that I'll just draw your attention to that's pretty useful is the Macmillan Dictionary. If you want to include any phonetic transcriptions, Macmillan's a good resource because they use the same phonetic alphabet that English file uses. So you can just do a quick copy and then Control V to paste. So to save yourself a little bit of time, including transcriptions, you can use Macmillan as a resource. All right, next, let's look at what I've called a kind of PowerPoint flashcard. So here, the slide is just a picture. Then you would ask the students to respond with what it is. You click forward, and you can get the text. In order to create a slide like this, again, you'll use this insert picture functions, insert the picture of a dog, then insert a text box, write the word you need. Then you'll need to, again, change the animation order. if I want, so let's see, I want them to be on top of each other. And first, I want the picture of the dog to be there and dog to be hidden. So I want dog to appear, and I want the picture of the dog to disappear. All right, so if you want the picture to go away, you go to the red disappear option. If you want the text box to appear, you go to the green appear option. But now the order actually made a mistake because the order isn't correct. Because first the picture should disappear and then the text should appear. So if the order of the animations is incorrect, you can go to this animation pane. And this tells you what order the events are happening in. And so I want the picture animation to be first. And so now if I've done everything right, when I click, the picture should disappear. And when I click again, the word dog should appear. So let's test to see if I've done that correctly. All right, so here's our slide. The dog's there. The first animation should be disappear. There we go. And then when I click again, there's the word.
Yeah.
So that's how you can set up a kind of virtual flashcard using PowerPoint. There are also annotation tools that students can use. So a useful way to employ PowerPoint could be using a slide like this and getting the students to use the annotation tools to circle or draw the correct answer. So go ahead and try that out. At the top of your screen, use the annotation tool to circle the correct answer on this slide. There you go. And let's see if I can.
So, John, where is the annotation tool? It's at the beginning of, it's at the top of the screen?
It should be at the top of the screen, yeah.
I just have you are viewing teacher 3's language link screen and then view options.
If you mouse over,
View options.
yeah,
And the
look in
text.
options, and it
Oh, I
should be
see.
in there.
Okay, never mind.
Mhm.
All right.
Так, wait a moment. Options.
So it should be at the top of the screen, view options. And I circled cat. Yeah. So these annotation tools are really useful to make your students aware of because it lets them kind of stay engaged and active in the presentation.
So should I ask for distance? I can see the option of distance control. So should I ask this option to be able to correct and circle or no?
You don't need to. So I got a request to give you access. If I do that, then you will have control of my mouse, and you'll be able to actually move the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, no, I don't need it. I just want to have the option of circling and commenting. So how can I?
That option should be at the top of the screen. Are you using a Russian version?
Yes.
So I think it's комментировать.
Комментировать, yes, I know. Yesterday I had a online lesson, and when I shared screen, my students could use this option, so they could comment. But now I myself can't see it. I don't know why.
It should be at the top of the screen, комментировать, or maybe under more options.
Okay, I'll try to find. Thank you.
Okay, sure. All right. Another useful thing you can do with images is crop them in a way and maybe create a kind of guessing game for students. So an easy way to manipulate images in this way is using the the so-called snipping tool. This comes automatically installed in Windows, and to find it, you can just search for snip, and you'll see snipping tool. So to use that, you can open a picture of, open a document, open the snipping tool, press the new button, and then let's say I want to have the students try to guess what animal that is. So I just snip that little piece of the image. Then I can either save it or I can copy it. So I'll do a convenient copy, reopen the PowerPoint presentation, and then I can either hit Control V or right click and paste. And that's a nice convenient tool to get the exact image that you want to use into the PowerPoint presentation. It's also pretty basic, but still worth mentioning that you can use PowerPoint to use vocabulary teaching techniques such as using stories or examples. All right, so here's one that I used recently. I wanted to teach some vocabulary related to jobs, and I thought the easiest way to do that would be giving the students a short story in context. So here I simply gave this text to students and had them use the context to try to figure out what the correct answer was. And here I again had them use the annotation tools to note what they thought were the correct answers. So again, the techniques I've already showed you. These are just text boxes, and I have the text in there. So here I've got just 2 text boxes on this slide. All right, and the final function I want to point out in PowerPoint is Smart Art. You can use Smart Art to create a slide that looks like this. This is useful for brainstorming, creating mind maps together with your students, and I'll show you how you can make a chart like this. So you'll go to the blank slide, again go to our very useful Insert tab, and then go to the Smart Art graphic option. The 2 options that I prefer are one called Radial Cluster, and I'll type that in the chat. So Smart Art, we've got the radial, what is it? Radial cluster. The radial cluster. So if I create that, and here you see just blank text boxes. You can click on a box, and then it will bring up this window where you can enter your text. All right, so I could say if I want to brainstorm food, I could type food as my main category. Then I could elicit some foods from students. So go ahead and give me some examples of types of food.
Hamburgers.
Vegetables.
Hamburgers, good. Vegetables. Strawberries, good. So I've
Chicken,
listed
rice.
3 there. To add another one, just click enter. And every time you click enter, it will rearrange the graphic for you.
Wow, that's wonderful.
It's really nice. And if you want to even create more layers, you can go to, like say if I want to say types of chocolate. Enter, and then if I hit the tab key, I can create a subcategory off of chocolate. So, and white, for example.
And it even sizes it for you. That's pretty nifty.
Yeah, exactly. It automatically sizes it. You can manipulate these as well. So yeah, it's a pretty convenient tool. So that's the radial cluster. Another one that works pretty well for ESL purposes is what's called the what is it? Horizontal hierarchy. And I'll show you a quick example of that.
And that's smart
So,
art too.
it's in, again, insert smart art, go to category hierarchy, and then choose the option horizontal hierarchy. So again, using food as the example, if I want to use food as my main category, then I could maybe divide it into vegetables and fruit, and then elicit examples of each type of category, which would present it in a nice, understandable way for students. So again, this is the horizontal hierarchy, and I'll write that in the chat. Horizontal hierarchy. So yeah, I think that my kind of overall advice using PowerPoint and vocabulary is you don't always have to reinvent the wheel, right? Just because PowerPoint has all of these interesting features, it doesn't mean that every time you use PowerPoint, you have to create this super innovative smart art presentation. Because sometimes the most effective approach is just 2 basic text boxes, but sometimes being a little bit more creative and using the snipping tools or the annotation features can also be useful. One other convenient thing about using PowerPoint is the fact that it's easy to share with students. So I would definitely advise you having an easy way that you can take a file and then create a link that you can then post to students. So on my computer, I've actually installed the Yandex Disk application, and I really like using this because it allows me to highlight the file that I want to share. I simply right-click, and there's an option to copy link to Yandex Disk. So I click that, and it automatically uploads the file. And then I will have a link that I can paste in the chat for the student to easily download. So having that Yandex Disk application really reduces the amount of time that takes to share files that you want to give to students. And the final thing I'll show you before we move on to question and answers is a quick example of a way that I used PowerPoint just to pre-teach vocabulary in a recent class that I taught. So here we just had a communicative activity, and there were some words that I anticipated the students might not know, and I wanted to pre-teach them. So I simply opened this up and got this picture, used the annotation tools, and said, what are these? And what are these things there?
Turbines.
There you go. What kind of turbines?
Wind turbines.
Yeah, right. So I then just edited that text box, highlighted the text, and did a drill of wind turbines. Right. Another one, clear my drawings here. I showed them a picture of a table, told them Liverpool as at the top of the table, and then used this to elicit a verb because I wanted to show them that it's possible to use tops as a verb. All right. Then another one, I wanted to elicit who this guy is. So if I said, this is a newborn, who's this?
Just a boy.
What do we call a young boy or girl?
Child.
Toddler.
Yeah. Right. So you see, using PowerPoint here, you can have this nice kind of conversation back and forth, and edit the document. So yeah, a toddler. This is a toddler. This is a newborn. And the ease with which you can use pictures is useful, especially when you want to show more complicated ideas. Does anyone know what we call this this route through the Arctic?
Northwest Passage.
It is indeed the Northwest Passage.
No.
It's a very specific term. None of my students got it. So that was, but I used this slide just to show them what it was. So when they came across this word in the discussion, they then had that clear visual image of what that Northwest Passage was. All right. So that's all I wanted to show and demonstrate for you. Do you have any questions you'd like to run by me?
Yeah, John, I've got a question regarding adding audio, because could you just show it again?
Of
How
course.
can we add audio to Flash to presentation slide?
Sure. So
I didn't see the button. Which button did you use for this?
of course. So let's see. I'll add a new slide here.
Okay.
And then I want to go to Insert. And at the very right, Audio. So
Very right.
Insert, and then to the right,
Okay.
Audio.
Okay.
And then there are
yes,
two options.
I see it now. It was hidden by the pictures of participants, so I didn't
I see.
Okay. Yeah, thanks so much.
And again, there's two options there. You can upload an audio file on your PC or use your microphone to record audio.
Yes, yes. Thanks very much.
Sure, of course, of course. All right. Any other questions?
No, never mind.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, all right.
That was excellent. Very enlightening. Good ideas.
Thanks. Yeah, and it's like I said, it's again that balance between not trying to get too complicated and too fancy, but also using the tools that are available. So it will always depend on what vocabulary you're trying to teach, but I think having the ability to insert pictures, audio, use the annotation tools, all of that will help us use PowerPoint in the most effective way. All right. Any other questions?
I have a completely unrelated question.
Okay, let's hear it.
I tried to send a file to my group last night and I got a message, I can't remember the message exactly, something like the network is not connected and won't send it. Do we have
how did you try to send the file?
I had that problem too. I just took it. Did you take it from your flash drive?
Well, I took it from my hard drive.
Well, because I tried to send it through a flash drive and it said the network wasn't connected. Like there was like something broken, so I just took the file from my flash drive and then put it in my documents, and then it sent fine.
Yeah.
I've encountered that a couple of times too, where occasionally when I try to send a file through the group chat, I'll actually try that now to see if it works. Let's send it. I don't know. So, okay, there it worked, but sometimes it hasn't worked, which is why I decided to use Google Drive and Yandex Disk so that I could upload the file to Google Drive and then post a link in the chat, so that I wouldn't have just the Zoom group chat as my only option. So I would encourage you to use Google Drive or Yandex Disk as a way to upload a file and share it that way.
Will there be in the future maybe a Google Drive or a Yandex Disk workshop?
Yeah, we can absolutely do that for sure. I'll add it to the list.
That might be useful.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That would be a good one to have. Any other questions?
No, thanks. It
All
was
right.
really useful, really useful option. Thank you so much.
It looks
Great.
like David has a question, but
Do you have a question, David?
No,
No,
I'm just waving at everybody. Don't worry.
oh, okay.
It's been quiet.
All right. Well, again, for those of you, in case you don't have it, my email is jjohnson@languagelink.ru. Again, I've recorded this. If you're interested, you can look at not only the Zoom recording, but also a recording of my whole computer, so that you can see what kind of where I'm clicking and what options I was using.
Okay. Hi, sorry, John. I have one question. Well, it's unrelated to PowerPoint, but I have one problem with visual backgrounds with my students. Is there a way to disable this function for them so they can't add visual backgrounds, because sometimes it can distract the lesson, and they can play around with the pictures and changing the backgrounds and stuff like that.
I believe it is possible, but it's most likely in the Zoom settings on the website.
On the websites, okay. Okay,
I think that's right.
I'll check it
Yeah,
out.
Yes, if you want to change the background, I already had such problems. You need to set up Zoom to your computer as well as your students. And only then with a setup option, you can change it, virtual background.
No.
So if they download from the browser, they couldn't use most of options. So like me today, I downloaded from the browser, so I couldn't write any comments on John's presentation.
But
So
your question, Stefan, was you want to disable the student's ability to use virtual backgrounds. Is that right?
Yeah, for example, yes. For example, this is my virtual background that I use, right? Like a nice language backdrop. But for example, if I do this, so some funny things happen, like I can disappear, and there's a lot of things that can distract the lesson just because of what the virtual background does.
Yeah.
So, and especially maybe if you're much further away and maybe like pull up a book, you can disappear. And this kind of fascinates the students, especially the younger students, and it can get them derail the lesson completely off. Like they lose they lose focus.
I suspect it's in the general Zoom settings, but let me look and see if I can find that. Yeah.
All right.
I can see how that could be distracting.
Okay.
Yes, I'm fed up by Mr. Putin in my lessons.
All right. Any other questions for me? All right. Well, again, if something comes up, don't hesitate to send me an email, and we'll let you know just as soon as we have these videos uploaded.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Thanks,
Wash your
John.
hands.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.